while walking late at night. And I know it's not a dream.
From Malmstrom to Manat, Boston to LA, there are people asking questions and they will not go away. But what has been seen might not be what it seems. The government's shadows dance in the sea.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And thank you.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. Night Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark, wants to give a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to our show.
And again, I want to thank all the truckers out there that, when they're making their long hauls or whatever they're doing in their truck, listen to Night Dreams Talk Radio. I get a lot of messages and emails and texts and instant messages through Facebook for a lot of truckers. I just want to say thank you for, listening to the show. James, are you still there?
You better believe it. I wouldn't miss the upcoming guest and the UFO talk that will proceed.
Okay, well, we're trying to get a hold of our guest right now. We got William Pullin we're trying to get a hold of right now. And
hello.
Hi, William. This is Gary at Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.
How are you, sir?
I am doing really good. How are you?
I'm good. Enjoying some cool weather here in Texas. A cool front just came in, so feeling better. So.
Okay. Where is your location? Where are you located at?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
What type of weather have you been having there?
Oh, it's been it's cool off, but we've still had the occasional day of 90 degrees, which is horrible for late October. But an actual cool front's coming in right now as we speak, so it's getting us back to where we should be. We should be 80 degrees for a high.
Oh, wow. So, yeah. I don't know. I remember a year ago up here in Washington State, down at my compound, in April, we hit 91, 92 degrees. We never had temperatures ever recorded like that in April. The next day, it was back down to like the 50s. Then the summer was really great. This summer, it's been really pukey, and we're already in the 40s and 50s, down, 40s at night. And it's I don't know. I think a lot of it is earth changes because I'm hearing it all across the country that everybody's weather is different than, and James is out there and he's having weather right now. What state are you in, James?
I'm in Ohio, and, it's the warmest October I ever can remember in my 50-plus years. First week of October was 90s. We've only had 4 days below 70.
That's horrible. God. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it seems to be the weather's changed. I don't think any of us knows what the cause is, but certainly some parts of the country have been either wetter or warmer. It's kind of bizarre. So we had an average summer, but October was, September. September was the hottest month ever in San Antonio for September. We averaged like 95 degrees, which is horrible. And it's slowly backing off now. So it's definitely different than it was, say, 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah. And, like I was mentioning on my show yesterday, in Antarctica, they found 5 islands, all, that because of the, melting of the glaciers and stuff. They found 5 islands they didn't even knew it existed. Hey, maybe one of these days a UFO or something's going to appear out of, this underneath a glacier or something.
I would love to see that, yeah. Well, it's interesting. These things, the glaciers are melting, so things that were had not been revealed or unknown to humankind are being revealed now because the ice melts, and all of a sudden you're finding, previously fossilized woolly mammoths. Islands are being exposed in the ocean. So, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen as this ice melts. It's melting pretty fast, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future.
Oh, yeah. If they start finding structures or anything like that, it's going to blow up, how we've ever learned how mankind even developed. That's going to be interesting here in the next year or two.
Fascinating, yeah.
So
hopefully they don't block it out.
Well, I
True.
don't know.
I mean, yeah,
You can only block out so much, and and I think it's to the point now. What are they going to do? Block out all Antarctica?
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. You can block out some things. There's some level of they can tamp down on the story to a point, but if enough individuals are exposed to it, somehow that knowledge is going to get out. Somehow it's going to be released, whether directly or officially or what have you. So. It may be just too big to hide, too. I mean, it's very hard to hide a big secret.
Oh, yeah. I think we're going to find out eventually.
We'll see. Yeah. I'm always looking forward to seeing what the future holds, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Some of these beliefs are going to be confirmed.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Well, William, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. I'm in my early 50s, and that's about as far as I'll go. Graduated from the University of Texas, San Antonio. And I was always kind of aware of the UFO issue in a very matter-of-fact way. But I spent the middle part of the 80s, I decided to really just really study and see what was going on. Was there anything to this? And by the late 80s, I had kind of come to the conclusion that there's something to this. Something's going on that no one's able to explain. And you have qualified trained observers seeing these things, and they can't explain them. So to me, that carries a lot of weight. And so I started studying the phenomenon, I guess it was 1987, 1988, and I've been doing that ever since. It's a fascinating phenomenon because no one has any of the answers. And no one really knows how to attack the data. In other words, they really don't know what way to study this works best. And that, to me, is fascinating, because usually other sciences, there's a definitive way to study those different scenarios. Scientists are able to discern, okay, this technique works best as we investigate those things. The UFO enigma, no one has any idea. No one has any idea what's going on, and no one has any idea what's the best way to tackle the problem. That's fascinating to me. So, and it gets more and more of an enigma as time goes on. That's kind of how they got started. Now it's just it's a single-minded drive I have to study the phenomenon and do my best to be aware of what's going on and try to find some answers. And I'm comfortable saying I've yet to find any answers. In 30-some-odd years, I have no idea what's going on. It's a total mystery to me.
It is, and that's what's interesting. I can tell you one thing, it's unusual this year. Normally, from what I see, that UFO reports start drying up in September. The same with cattle mutilations. Around September, it's just like all of a sudden you don't hear about as many UFO reports. It just dries up. This year it hasn't, and it seems to be increasing. And then people in other states are seeing more UFOs in their area where they're not even used to seeing UFOs. Have you been noticing that?
Yeah, there's been some changes. I don't know the reason why that's happened. There's always been the issue or the problem, I guess is a better term to use for investigators, is that most individuals don't report their sightings. So the data we have available to study is incomplete. And two, as a result of us having our technology, our cell phones, a lot of people don't look up. They're always looking down at their phones. They're looking at the road they're driving on. They're not aware of their surroundings. So I wonder how many anomalous events are taking place in the skies above us that aren't being seen because everyone's looking down. So that kind of stunts our amount of data. But with some of the developments as the last couple of years, the way the media is covering the enigma in a more legitimate light, the way as opposed to the way it's been done for several decades, maybe people are getting more comfortable talking about this issue in a legitimate way, which means that possibly that individuals that have experienced it are more comfortable talking about their sightings. But I might be wrong. There might be something else making this happen. I don't know, but I think a big part of it is the media's coverage of it is more legitimate now, so people are comfortable talking about it, and it gives the illusion that there's more sightings. But I don't know. It's fascinating. That's certainly changed. Yeah.
Well, what I find what's so fascinating, the video naturally of the Nimitz came out, and then the other video came out from 2017. All of a sudden came out. That one recently, but then you also had, the Secretary of the Air Force after that little incident where the Nimitz video started circulating, on TV and on YouTube and all different medias, came out, and he was talking to the graduating cadets. The next war won't be a ground war; it'll be out in space. I kind of thought that was kind of strange, and then we had our president come out and say, well, maybe we should create a space force. And who knew that he was actually serious? Maybe he wasn't at the start, but now the Navy is in charge of the Space Force. I don't know where it's going to go from there. But then this recently, the Army has got together with a guy who was in a band, very famous, to go out and try, secure alien technology. I mean, it's weird stuff is coming out, which it never has before. It's funny. I've been in radio since 1976, on and off, doing talk radio. And I've heard everything through the years about UFOs. Trust me. And it seems like...
I'm sure you have, yeah.
Yeah, 6 months ago, there was a group of people, some people famous even from Canada, going around saying, oh, I got the smoking gun. And all this is going to come out and prove all this stuff. Well, that smoking gun really didn't materialize like they thought it would, because the stuff that the Navy released and all this other stuff is coming out. What do you think is actually going on?
My take on it is that it's interesting that you've been doing this broadcasting since the mid-'70s, and I've been studying this since the late '80s, and there's been claims of released documentation or physical evidence that's always been made, and it's going to be released, and it never really happens. It doesn't transpire. And those claims happen every year. Every year is the year of disclosure, what have you, and those things really don't come to pass. But in the last couple of years, it's been a little more in your face. These stories and these scenarios that have come to light seem to lead us to the direction that there's a possibility that some level of disclosure may transpire. Of course, it may not. It may not come to pass. But it's to my mind, one of the most interesting aspects is that of all the four branches of the military, the Navy has clearly become more comfortable talking about the UFO issue than the other branches. I know the story came out with the Army as of late, but the Navy's clearly taken this bull by the horns and become much more open and at least comfortable addressing the issue with the media. And the media has given that information out to the public, and the public's been a little more open to digesting that. Per se, but I don't know. I'm cautious about the whole TPSA scenario, but above and beyond that, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future as this moves along. It's been about 2 or 3 years that this whole scenario has been starting to. This ball has been rolling in this direction, so we'll see if it actually what the end game is. What if it actually ends up with disclosure or not, or is it just more claims that are unfounded, like the rest of the history of the phenomenon has been? We'll see. It's fascinating, though.
Yeah, but some of the people who've been claimed they've been abducted, like Calvin Parker, Timothy Cullen, who was in the number 9 implant removal from the late Dr. Roger Lear. He's been on my show, talking about the implant that was removed from him. The information I'm getting, for years, I would be getting guests on that would say that their abductions, for example, that these aliens were warm, friendly, caring, give off orbs, trying to save humanity. And now I've been hearing the opposite, like Calvin Parker when I asked him, I said, "What did you think about your